Recording.
Stay.
It's
Okay.
mommy's baby. Scratch your ear. Lay down.
Lay down, baby
Lay
girl.
down.
Lay down. We'll
Oh,
see how long
Carmen?
this lasts.
I know, right?
Okay. I know. You want to say things too.
Nobody put Scooty in the corner.
Nope, we put her right in the center.
That's right.
Mm-hmm. That's right, baby girl. That's right. I know you're afraid of the thunder. It's thundering, everybody. Welcome to the JK Coffee Couch podcast, number 2.
Yes.
We changed things up with the lighting a little bit and with the audio. So, let us know if it sounds better or worse than last time, and let us know if it looks better or worse than last time. And we will take your comments into consideration. So, but yeah, so here we are.
Yay. Podcast number 2.
Podcast number 2, yeah.
And we've picked the topic,
We have.
like, parenthood or, like,
Yeah,
becoming
like
new parents.
Expecting parents.
Yeah.
Like new parents.
First-time parents.
First time, yeah.
Mostly first time, because that's what we are. Or that's what we will be.
Yeah, and that's like a big event. If you've already had one child and you're gonna have another one, it's like you kind of know what to expect a little bit.
There's not as much fear, probably.
Yeah, exactly. So the first one's definitely there's a lot of unknowns, and your whole world's gonna change.
Yeah.
That's just what's gonna happen, right?
That's what they say.
Yeah, it's no longer about us anymore. It's gonna be about keeping a creature alive.
Why is that funny? Because you called it a creature?
Because I called it a creature, yeah.
Yeah. Well, we've kept this creature alive for 10 years, so...
Yes, we have.
Granted, she doesn't have to have her diaper changed or anything like that, but...
She's super spoiled, by the way.
She's just as cute.
Do you want to talk about the dresser situation?
Because I've been talking about it all day.
You've been obsessing. I would say obsessing about the dresser situation.
All right, so we live in, my parents' basement or whatever. So just like trying not to get a bunch of stuff. There's like a lot of things that maybe if we had our own house, they'd be like, yeah, sure, I'll get like a swing or I'll get like a big changing table. So just like getting that big box of clothes from Shannon. My sister gave me a bunch of clothes, like baby clothes or whatever, and I was going through them and just realizing like, holy crap, I didn't think about where we're going to put all the clothes because we're putting the crib in our closet, which sounds horrible, but it's going to be like Harry Potter living in a closet for the first or his first year of his life or whatever. But so yeah, I wanted to get a little dresser that might have, some, nothing huge, just a little dresser. And there was a dresser specifically that matched the crib that we got, but it was $1,000. And so it's like all those little decisions that you have to make that probably seem like a really big deal at the time, especially as a first-time parent. I think the second time or the third time, fourth, whatever, you probably start to care a little bit less. But it's like our first baby and we got the really nice crib and I want to have a dresser. But it's like, I don't want it to not match because it's like we're eventually going to move out of here.
Yeah.
And the dresser's going to come with him and it's going to be in his bedroom and he might have it forever. I mean, the dresser that I've had since I was a child.
Yeah. And I got to say too, like I'm a big proponent of buying quality things, right? If like you're going to buy something, it's like I used to be like, well, just get the cheapest version. Like who cares? But like the older I get, the more I'm like, oh, the cheaper version breaks.
Yeah.
And can actually, like, if you're using it every single day, it can actually decrease the quality of life that you're living because, you're dealing with it every day. You're dealing with a dresser drawer that just, when it comes out, it just falls on the ground and it's like, there's no track for it.
Right.
And it's like those little things build up. And then I feel like you wonder why am I so depressed all the time? It's like, because you're surrounded by frustrating things that
all
you
the
like
time.
Every single day. This is broken. That's broken. This thing is like unsatisfactory, and I don't want to sound materialistic or anything like that, but it's like yeah, if you're going to get a dresser, you know, it doesn't have to be $1 million, but maybe it should be like, you know, something that's a little bit higher quality so
Yeah.
that when you're dealing with it later on, it's just one of those things. It's like, it's making your life actually just a little bit better by not making it worse.
Yeah. And it's an
You know?
investment because you have it for so long.
Yeah. And you're probably going to have, like, we're probably going to have another child, you know,
Yeah.
God willing. But so, and then it'll, you know, kind of like be passed down and, you know, maybe we'll keep it and then maybe our child will give it to his child one day. You know, you never know. Things like that,
They get passed on.
they get passed on. But, you know, if you buy something really cheap, chances are it's probably going to break.
Yeah. It's like when I worked for Ted for the property management company in Baltimore. Just one of the things that he had said, it's like when you're a landlord, there's certain things you don't want to you don't want to buy them a bunch of amazing things, especially if it's like a lower cost housing. Just because it's like going to get broken and people move out and stuff like that. But he's like, the things that people touch every single day are a really big deal because what you were saying before about the frustration, it's like, if your shower head is hanging off, you shower every day,
Yeah.
so you should have a really good shower head. Like everything that you touch every day should be something that you shouldn't be frustrated every time you touch it, you know? So,
Yeah, I agree.
So we did end up buying the dresser that's half the price. It still matches the crib. It's still $500, which I will say that is still a good amount of money for a dresser. And this dresser is not
It
a
is.
full-size dresser. It's one of those like maybe this size, you know?
Yeah. Please don't judge us, listeners.
I know. So we'll see how it goes.
But what's so funny about this is that this is how ridiculous we are as people, or as I guess as a couple, or as like we were saying pet parents, because we were debating on, you know, how much, you know, to spend on, you know, a dresser for our child that we're bringing into the world, but how much should we spend on her? Not this dog bed. We have a fancy dog bed in the corner.
You can
see the edge of it right there.
It looks like a little couch.
It looks like a little couch. Guess how much that was? Go ahead.
$450.
$450. That's how ridiculous we are. That's like how much we spoil. Like, if we spoil our dog that much, I can only imagine how much we're going to spoil our child.
And that's the thing. Is like we bought our baby a dresser that cost the same amount as Carmen's dog bed.
Yeah.
Like, maybe we should have got the $1,000 dresser.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, that's why we're still living in your parents' basement.
And because we're living here, that's why we can afford to buy our dog $450 beds.
Yeah.
So.
Well, actually, the real reason why we still live here is because the housing market is crazy.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. Like you know, the amount that we have saved up and like what we could buy for it, it's just so crushing.
Yeah.
You know, it's crazy what's happening right now.
It's like you see a house for like $300 or $450,000 or whatever, and it's still just like a shack.
Yeah, it's a shack, and it's like, man, you know, it's like my money should go further than that.
Yeah.
Like what's happening right now? Like it's just insane. So
And the fact that we're having a baby definitely extended it. So we moved in when it was right after we got married. So it was March 2021, and we were like, we'll stay for a year. So we'll move out in spring 2022.
Yeah.
And then 1 year passed, and we were like, not really ready to move out yet. Housing was still kind of crazy. Hadn't saved as much as, not that, I mean, we were still saving a lot of money, but we weren't like quite house buying ready, you know? So we were like, well, we'll stay for, you know, maybe another year. And then that October, we found out I was pregnant. So we were like, okay, well, instead of moving out this spring, we'll move out the following spring. So by the time we move out, we will have been here for 3 years.
And it's always, you know, it's like it's that catch-22 where it's like, well, if we stay a little bit longer, we'll be able to afford something a little bit nicer, you know? And it's like, maybe our next home won't be necessarily our starter home. Like maybe we're moving, if it's not our dream home, it's at least like a little bit closer to that, you know? And
it's not our starter home, or it's not our dream home, or like
Like our first home wouldn't be necessarily our starter home. Meaning like, a starter home is usually, I would say like, and there's nothing wrong with it, but usually like, like a townhouse or something like
Yeah.
that. Like something that's
That you're not
usually,
going to be in forever.
you're not going to be in forever. You're not really planning on being in it forever, and you want to buy it at a time. I've never bought a house before. I've never dealt in real estate, so I don't really know. But this is what I'm. This is my thought is that
And what we've
you buy
heard.
it cheaper. You buy it at a low price, and then when the market goes up, you sell it at a higher price. You make a profit on the house, and then you're able to afford then an even nicer home.
Yeah.
That's why I would say it's called a starter home, right? Like,
Yeah. Well, you said it's not going to be a starter home.
Our
So
first
you're
home.
saying that our first home is going to be our forever home?
No, that's what I mean. It's like not necessarily our forever home, but it just would be kind of in between.
Oh,
like,
okay.
It wouldn't
So it's
necessarily
not
be...
like the townhouse, but it's not like the nice
Yeah,
house
exactly.
that we want to
It's
live in
like
forever.
the longer we save, the more we can, the nicer of a house we can get.
I think it's worth saying that the reason we don't want to live in a townhouse is because we lived in Baltimore for so many years. At least this is why I don't want to live in a townhouse.
In a row home.
We lived in a row home for so long,
Yeah.
and just having the neighbors and like the, just like the mice up, because
Going
the
from
houses
house
are
to house to
connected. It's like
house,
you never
yeah.
know, and then
Yeah.
and just having property, is something that I really want,
Yeah.
and light.
Again,
if
there's
you have a
nothing-
townhouse,
yeah.
you don't have windows on the sides, which is something that we live in a
We
basement.
live
now.
in a dungeon.
I haven't had windows since I basically lived in this house when I was a child. This is like,
I know.
and that was when I was upstairs.
Yeah, I do
so.
feel like the last couple of houses that I've had were just like perpetually dark.
Yes.
And it's like sometimes...
Worse for artists too.
Yeah, for like when we're in here, we're trying to get inspired and creative and have energy and stuff, and it's just like cold and dark. It's just it's a cave,
Yeah.
and it's like
It's hibernating.
it is hibernating, and there's something about it that truly does like suck the energy out of you and makes you want to hibernate. Yeah, it's true. We're living
Just
in a
eat
cave.
snacks and
Yeah, that's why like now that it's like it's becoming springtime here in Maryland, and we've had some real beautiful days, especially this past week, and there were times when you and me just needed to like we're both working from home, and it's like I need to get outside. I just need to like get out,
and dark and sad.
Like just get out and just be in the sun and radiate a little bit.
Yeah, just take 10 minutes and just
get some vitamin D and
get that natural melatonin.
Yeah, exactly, and just just relax. So
Yeah.
But anyway, babies.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the housing is totally related to babies.
It is. Just the whole family thing, and all that stuff, and
yeah, and just the whole thing about like, oh well, there is like slight pressure to follow the path that you think you're supposed to follow sometimes, which is, we got married and now we were saving to buy a house, and then we got pregnant. So a lot of the times I'm like, well, we're having a baby, we have to buy a house, that's just the logical next step.
It's like the next step. Yeah.
I think when you're having, at least a lot of the stuff that we've even been talking about already is just, like still being who you are, and not necessarily like, oh, I'm having a kid, I have to do this, so just, I don't know. I don't want to have that pressure of like, I mean, my parents didn't buy their first house until they were 40, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
baby can live in a rental for a little while if we're not ready to buy,
Well, that's the thing, and I think it's important for everybody to do is just like living life at your own pace and doing things because it feels right and it feels like the right time, not because you feel like you're pressured to do things. And I think that a lot of bad decisions are made because people feel like that's what they're supposed to do, and oftentimes, or even like, I guess it's like things you really want to do in the time, but maybe it's not the right time.
Yeah.
And I know that I just kind of contradicted myself to some degree, but it's more about like not doing things because you feel the like pressured to do them. Like,
and your mind can trick you in that sense too, where it's like, do I want to do this because I really want this, or do I want to do this because I feel like this is what I should want?
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, it's kind of like that idea of like sometimes, people get it in their heads that they like want to move away,
Yeah.
And I'm all for that. I grew up as an army brat, So we moved every 4 years to a different school,
It's nuts.
or a different town, different state, and it was like just starting over.
Texas to Pennsylvania, right? That was probably the longest.
Florida to Texas to Pennsylvania.
And
No,
overseas.
to Texas to Maryland to Pennsylvania, back to Maryland, just all over the place. And overseas when I was a baby. But anyway, like, I guess the point I was trying to get to is that the idea that sometimes people want to just get away, just move, and thinking that that'll like solve everything.
Yeah.
But it doesn't, because it's like really what's happening is you have something that you're dealing with inside, and you think that, like just getting away is going to solve everything. And I think it will change things for you, but those like demons or whatever, like they're still going to be there, and you're still going to have to deal with them, just now in a new place.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Well, yeah. I mean, we've talked about moving to Colorado, having never even visited Colorado, but I mean, it just sounds like fun. And, I mean, we like to hike and snowboard, and we're very outdoorsy. And sometimes, especially when we're looking for a house and we're looking at all the surrounding areas, it's like I work in a specific location. So, like, the places we can move can't be too far away from that place, but we're not crazy about anywhere within an hour, really. So, I mean, another argument for possibly like, oh, maybe we could just consider moving to a different state, because I could transfer there maybe. But yeah, again, just making sure you're doing it for the right reasons.
For the
It's
right
like,
reasons.
Does it sound more exciting to move to Colorado than it actually would be?
Yeah, because we don't know.
I mean,
We've never been there before.
Yeah.
And
then you wouldn't have family. We'd be completely alone. Here we have
no friends.
we have to start over.
Yeah.
No, our parents wouldn't be able to help babysit.
Nope.
I mean,
Yeah, and that's a
it
big
would
deal.
change a lot. So Well, now I feel overwhelmed. No.
I know. I mean, a lot of these, like, what these podcasts have felt like, and you said this after listening to the last one, is that it kind of felt therapeutic, actually, you listening to what we did last time. I'm kind of like, I don't know, like, I don't really, even editing it, I'm like cringy a little bit about it.
What do you mean? Like,
Just
listening to yourself?
Listening to myself, watching myself and stuff. It's just new. It's weird.
Yeah,
I barely do anything. I don't take selfies. I barely, do anything with like social media and stuff like that. Like, I'm a hermit on Facebook. I really don't, I don't do much at all. So to have a podcast where it's like, you want to watch me talk, have a
Look
conversation.
at me.
Yeah,
Listen to me.
This is what I look like when I'm talking. But you were saying that it was like kind of therapeutic and everything.
Yeah, just listening to because you listen to other people say things, and it's like, and then you listen to yourself say something, and it kind of reminds you, like, oh yeah, that is an important thing to focus on or think about. And I said it, so it's like you're kind of your own therapist, and then also just talking to you, how you were talking about how, doing a podcast, you're kind of forced to be a little bit more engaged. So you have to really listen, you have to really respond. And, so listening back to that, and also, just talking about, the meditating and the yoga, and, why is it so hard to do something that is going to make you happy. So just re-listening to that kind of thing, it was very therapeutic, and just
reiterate
it,
all that stuff that you were. Yeah, it's like a log, like a captain's log. Maybe that's why they kept that kind of stuff. Is like, they keep it for their sanity, but they also keep it for, like, I think, records and stuff, right?
Yeah.
So that later on, like, they can go like, this is what was happening during this time.
And
all
like,
that.
this is what I was going through, chronicling his sanity slowly slipping away,
Yeah.
It also is kind
This is
of
when
like,
they started eating people, right about right here.
yeah, right. But how when you listen to those, those logs, or if you look at them in movies, usually it's like they're looking into the screen and they're like, it's 2:00 on Wednesday, blah, blah, blah. It kind of reminds me of a Catholic confession.
Yeah.
Because it's like, forgive me, Father, for I've sinned. It has been a week since my last confession. And that's kind of like the introduction of, like, the timeline in God's eyes. And, I've actually never gone to confession, but that's kind of how it reminds me of that.
I've just seen it in the movies.
Yeah, in the pictures.
In the pictures.
The moving pictures.
Yeah.
So yeah, parenthood. What are you looking forward to the most?
Oh man, I mean, just like getting to know them,
Yeah.
and like I don't know, it's just gonna be I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm just like so anxious now at this point. It's like it's what about 3 months away,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like
Less.
it's your child. I mean, I'm
2
just
months.
excited. I don't know. I'm excited for the new perspective on life and everything too, because I don't know. I don't think I'm like selfish, but I'm definitely like very self-absorbed in terms of like the things I think about on a daily basis or like my life endeavors and
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that. And even when we found out that we were pregnant, it was like it just completely changed everything in my mind. Like it was almost like a sense of relief in
Mm-hmm.
a weird way. Like some people when they find out that they're gonna have a child, like I feel like sometimes it's like, oh my God, like it's stressful,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it's like it's scary,
Yeah.
but for
Especially
me,
depending on where you are in your life at the time, how ready
exactly.
you feel you are.
Exactly, yeah. But we're at that perfect time and I feel like we're just so ready for it now, me being 34 now at this point and you being 31,
2.
right? 32.
Thank you though.
You're welcome. You being what, 25?
Yeah. Lovely.
But but yeah, so
Like that old bitch isn't 25.
but yeah, but like yeah, once I found out, yeah, it just felt like a sense of relief because it was like I can stop thinking about myself now. Like I can
Yeah.
now my thoughts are like thinking are like moving from me to something else, and it's like that whole thing where it's like when you're alone with your thoughts and it's scary,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I mean? And it's like, you know, I think having a child is one of those things where it's such a life event where, you don't really have that much time now to just be alone with your thoughts and think about yourself.
Yeah.
Because even if you're not with the child and somebody else is taking care of them, you're still going to be, your thoughts are going to be with that child. Right. I
But like
mean,
worrying, what's he doing?
yeah,
Or,
exactly. Or you're just like constantly going to be thinking about them
Mm-hmm.
now. Even if it's not worry, you're just like, they're always there
Yeah.
now.
And like every time you make a decision, they're part of that decision making
Yeah.
process.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas like right now, remember we were like, oh, well, we're gonna buy a truck. Now we're like, well, what is that gonna mean? Where am I gonna
Yeah.
where would we put the car seat? And then like if we're,
Yeah.
and what does that mean financially? And
Well, my friend Shane, shout out Shane McCarthy. He was talking about his minivan
yeah,
and how much he loves it. Because he's got three kids,
yeah.
and I was like, yeah, I can see how that would be like super convenient. He's like, dude, I love my minivan.
That's the best.
Yeah, right.
How many cars do they have?
I don't know, probably two.
Yeah,
I would
probably.
assume, but yeah, just him talking about the minivan, and I'm like, yeah, you know what? It's like trucks are nice, but like a minivan or like even like a Suburban
Yeah, like an
kinda,
SUV
an
type.
SUV,
Yeah.
yeah, those kinds of cars. And I like getting up into a vehicle.
Yeah.
Like the cars, both of our cars now, we're taller people and you got to kind of like hold onto the roof and like get in and
Which is really annoying now, especially that I'm pregnant, because I
yeah.
feel like I'm like, like sitting into myself. Yeah. So, do you want to get a minivan? Truck is off the list officially.
I mean, not
Honestly, the main
necessarily.
reason we wanted the truck was because we like camp
Mm-hmm.
and we would go to Berkeley Springs all the time,
Mm-hmm.
and it would be like, oh, it might snowstorm, and there were houses that were like must have 4-wheel drive.
Yeah,
If you
yeah.
rent this house and we're like, my Toyota Corolla isn't gonna get me
Yeah.
home.
Well, there's camping spots too out in like Green Ridge State Park
Yeah.
in Western Maryland. I think it's in Maryland, I believe. It's either Maryland or West Virginia, but yeah, it's like dirt roads. Like you
Yeah.
go back there and there's dirt roads and there are certain campsites there that are like inaccessible if you don't have
A
4-wheel
truck.
drive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or 4-wheel drive.
Because it's like up a mountain,
Mhm.
So that's like just the appeal. Like when you get something like a nice 4-wheel, drive, it's like, oh, my horizons have broadened a little bit,
Yeah, yeah.
but you know, cars aren't the cheapest thing in the world either right now. Like nothing's cheap.
I know, and both
Nothing.
of our cars are like 10 years old,
Yeah,
right?
they're on their way
So
out.
I bet you as soon as we buy a house, it's gonna be like one of our cars is going to take a dump. It's going to be like,
that's how it goes. And it's one of
crap.
those things where it's like,
Start saving now.
not to be, I think it's important to like not be pessimistic, because pessimism is basically saying that like nothing good ever happens, but you can be optimistic, but also be prepared.
Like realistic.
Realistic and optimistic. Realistic. Real optist. Yeah, whatever.
Optimistic.
In the comments, please make up a new word for what that means. But it's basically like you're optimistic and you're a realist at the same time. So you're still like, you know what? Good things can happen, but I need to be prepared for like, life to happen.
Yeah. It's like Boy Scout.
Yeah. And I think you can set yourself up for good things.
Yeah.
It's like, but you still have to navigate through the chaos of life, because I just, like things are just going to happen that you don't expect,
Right.
So
you just got to power through.
Got to power through. Yeah.
It's like, it's going to rain,
Mm-hmm.
Big deal.
Yeah.
You just got to bring a raincoat.
Yep. Bring a raincoat.
Prepared.
Bring your 4-wheel drive car.
Yeah. Now I'm like, oh my God, I haven't even been thinking about the car situation.
Yeah, well, one thing at a time. I mean.
Yeah. And I honestly, I kind of joke when I'm like, oh, for the most part, I feel like I've actually been very calm and, I mean, I have so many nieces and nephews. It's not like I feel like there are a lot of women who have a baby for the first time and like they've never even held a baby. Like I think your mom even said before because they got married when they were 18.
Mm-hmm.
And they had Erica, your sister, like a couple years later, and your mom had like no experience with babies.
Yeah.
So, and obviously she did an amazing job,
Yeah.
I think it's just, but I don't know. I guess I'm just saying that because I feel like I'm pretty prepared already just because I have so many nieces and nephews. It's not like I'm going to be afraid to pick up my baby for the first time.
Yeah.
Like I have, and so do you, it's like we've babysat before. I know babysitting is very different from parenting, but I just think that I'm not going to be afraid to have an infant in the house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, not at all. And it's one of those things too, where it's like when you're with other people's children and you're like, like, I mean, this kid's all right. You know what I mean? But you're like they're kind of annoying me right now. I
still wish she wasn't here.
Yeah. And you're just like, oh my God, is this how I'm going to feel about my own children? Then, but people are like, people who have kids are like, oh, no.
You'll love your own.
You love your own. And I guess it's so interesting to me, like to talk about love for a second is like love, how it keeps like life moving, and where it's like, you got to love your kids, because if you don't, especially when we were like less evolved, when we were like caveman days, if you didn't love and care for your child, you would have just left it where, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, we're moseying this
especially humans, because out of the animal kingdom, humans are like the most helpless when they're born.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even a giraffe can walk like immediately and move around, right?
Horses,
but
yeah.
Can horses walk right away?
Pretty much.
Like probably anything with 4 legs, right?
Pretty much, man. Pretty much, yeah.
So they're just completely helpless, so, and you keep them in your house for like 18 years too.
Yeah, right?
They live there for so long.
18 years.
Yeah.
18
Little
years
freeloaders.
by law. 18 years.
Wow.
Well, you can always send them to military school or boarding school or something like that, but
which hopefully we don't ever
but you
have
still
to
have to pay for that stuff, I think, right? You still have to pay for military school, right?
Probably.
I would assume.
Yeah. Actually, the new governor of Maryland went to military school.
Yeah.
And I remember in his book that he wrote, his mom talked briefly about, like, I'm paying for this, so it's not free.
So it's not free, yeah.
Whip his butt into shape, Well, he became the governor, so.
Yeah.
It worked.
It did, I guess.
So if he misbehaves, military school.
Yeah.
It's decided. Yeah, I just hope I think he'll be a good kid. I feel like we were both very good kids.
Mm-hmm.
You always talk about how you never gave your parents any crap. You didn't sneak out. You didn't do anything. And I mean, I was pretty much the same. I think I snuck out like once, but I got good grades. I never talked back to them.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't, I wasn't like doing crazy things. We didn't do drugs. So I hope he takes after us.
Yeah, we'll see. You never know. You never know. I mean, it's like he's going to have a personality, which is really interesting. So I think when you asked me before, and I know we're kind of all over the place.
We are, aren't we?
We are today.
It's funny. I've been thinking about this while we've been talking, because the first podcast we did, we were talking about things that we were very comfortable talking about because we talk about them all the time.
Yeah.
But parenthood it really is just so new.
It's unknown.
So it's hard to talk about in a way.
Yes.
At least that's been my experience through the first, 15, 10 minutes of this. 30 minutes already, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's already really surreal. Even just talking about it is kind of like jarring.
Yeah.
But I'm sorry, you were saying something.
What was I saying?
I don't know.
Oh no.
Oh no, rewind it. We're good kids.
Oh, the personality. Okay, so you were talking about what I was most excited about.
Okay.
And that's what I'm excited about, is like just getting to know his personality.
Yeah.
So long tangent short, I'm just excited to learn about his personality and just learn about him, because he's going to learn about the world and we're going to learn about him.
Yeah.
So.
And I was talking to my sister today. We were just texting, and she, I was talking about this a little bit earlier. She was like, "You're going to have a baby in the house for the holidays this year." And, it's going to be so fun because Christmas for the past few years, not that we've been miserable on Christmas, but Christmas changes when you get older. When you're little, you're excited for Santa Claus. And, me and my siblings, we used to all sleep in the basement, and my parents would, be like, "Don't come upstairs until the morning." And like we would just have blankets and pillows, and we were like excited for Santa Claus to come. And then you get older and you start getting clothes for Christmas, and that's like the first thing that sucks. Like all the toys start going away. I remember the first year. It was like one year I was getting all these toys, and the next year my mom just decided I was old enough to just get clothes. And I remember it was like, oh God, all of these freaking presents were just clothes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm excited to kind of look forward to live life through him in a way. Like, not that I want to put pressure on him, but just being excited for Christmas again and going to the beach and watching him see and experience things for the first time, even like having ice cream.
Yeah,
like,
we're gonna see the world through his eyes.
Yeah.
Which is gonna be really. It's one of those things. It's like you're kind of reborn. I feel like as a parent. Then again, leave things in the comments if we're totally off on this. As right. Your opinion as parents, if you are parents, and
well, that's the thing. Just being a first time parent, it's like you don't know what to expect.
Yeah.
Like I was telling my mom, I don't want a bassinet. Like I don't need a bassinet. I have a crib in the bedroom. He's right there because we have, what do I need a bassinet for? And she's convinced that we're going to need a bassinet. And maybe when he's born, I'm going to be like, thank God we have a bassinet.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be great.
Who knows?
Yeah.
It's like you think you want to do things your own way, and then you might discover, because we've never been parents before. I mean, who knows? I don't know what to expect.
Yeah, I mean, it is going to be nice to have, like, especially working from home, putting him down for a nap and just being able to work on some stuff while he's right there, and I can just look at him, and make sure, like, look over probably every 5 seconds, like,
yeah,
he's still breathing? Okay, good.
I know. That's why safe sleep is so important. No pillows, no blankets.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, like you can't have anything in the crib
That'll
except for
wrap up.
them. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Like literally just them, and like you could swaddle them. And this is stuff that my mom told me, which is why I know this,
Yeah.
But I guess the swaddle is like they're tight. They're, those pictures of the babies that just are like completely wrapped in a blanket. Like you do that because it kind of mimics, at least this is my understanding, it mimics the way they were in the womb. And it, it's like it kind of keeps them safe. They don't have to like, move around, stuff like that.
Well, and it's funny too. So you made me think of like when they sleep and how like, why I feel like we're not going to sleep as parents, and why parents, parents of firstborn or newborn babies don't sleep very often, is because even when they're not crying and they're actually sleeping, then you're kind of like it's like, yeah, go to sleep, but it's like, yeah, but when I'm asleep, I can't make sure that they're still alive, which I know that sounds crazy, but it's like, I feel like you're still, even if you're sleeping with one eye open because you're like,
Are they okay over
are they
there?
okay? Are they still breathing? We
My mom
put a
said that
glass up to their nose.
she would go into our rooms when we were babies and just like touch us, like
Mhm.
touch our backs, make sure we were breathing. I'm like, that is 100%
I
gonna
totally
be.
get, I
I'm
totally
gonna
get
wake
that
up
now.
in the middle of the night and I'm just gonna be like looking in his crib,
Mhm.
like
I
everyone's.
totally get it.
I know everyone's gonna be like, "Have you been sleeping?" I'm gonna be
Yeah.
like, "No, but he has."
It actually reminds me of when I was when my nephew Tristan was born. He was he was like, I think a couple months old. I think or he might have been like one or something.
Yeah.
But he was still young, you
Yeah.
know. And I was sleeping in his room, so there was like a little like guest bed in his room, like
Oh,
his
okay.
it
Not
was
his
like
bed. You were just in his room
I was
with
in his
him.
room and
Okay.
he had his own little like crib sleep area thing, and that's where he was sleeping. I remember I was like just kind of like falling asleep, and my sister came into the room and just like looked at him and like did that, like kind of like touched him and like looked at him, and then went out and left, and I was just kind of like,
What was that all
what was that
about?
all about? Yeah, but I totally get that now.
Yeah. And
where,
that was her first baby too,
that was her first
Like I
baby.
wonder
Yeah,
if she did that with Avery, probably,
I don't
right?
know, maybe. Yeah,
Um yeah. Yeah.
but yeah, but and so yeah, so we were, being expecting parents, we can kind of like shift this conversation, I think, to what we've been going through as far as, I guess we are expecting parents, but what has been happening instead of like what we're thinking
What we're
about what we're
anticipating. Yeah.
anticipating, like, like last night, just like the things that like really trip me out, like things that are like so unreal. I mean, you can't even believe you're looking at them when you're seeing it. It's like last night, your belly. Um, I mean, it looked like CGI to me. Like it didn't look real. Like just the morphing of your stomach. It's like round, and all of a sudden it just starts like different parts of it start moving. And it's really trippy, and you're like you got to blink because you're like,
You're like, is that really happening?
am I even
Yeah.
looking at this? Like it just looks like, again, it looks so unreal. It looked like a computer generated image.
Yeah. I know, and even me, I mean, he's in me. It's not even something that I'm watching, and sometimes I'm still just like, is that really a baby in there? And then we
Yeah.
go to like a sonogram appointment, and I'm like, is that even my sonogram? That's definitely me, right? Like, it's still so crazy.
Yeah.
And even Chelsea, our friend Chelsea, shout out Chelsea, and Sean. But yeah, she was saying that they still look at him. I guess he was born in December? So
Mhm.
January, February, March, April. He's like 4 months old. She's like, we still just can't even believe it when we look at him.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like you're just waiting for it to feel real,
Yeah.
And it still feels like that. It's like I feel like I'm waiting for it to feel real, and I still can't quite believe that it's happening.
Well, that's the real funny thing too, is like, being the male in this situation, and the expecting daddy, is that like, this is trippy for me, but I can imagine how trippy it is for you, especially like I'm looking at it, and you're not only looking at it, but you're also feeling it
Yeah.
too inside, which
Right.
is like, I just can't imagine having like a little person inside,
Yeah.
inside my body.
That's why I love the app that I have, because it'll tell you like how big he is based on how many weeks you are.
Yeah.
And I think right now he's the size of a pomelo, and I was like, what?
What is a pomelo, first of
pomelo?
all?
I think it's like this big or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So just like being able to picture it, because I can't picture it. Like, what does he look like?
Yeah. Probably looks a lot like a baby.
You think?
Well, most babies, they all kind of look the same.
I know, right?
They all look like Winston Churchill.
Churchill. Winston
Churchill.
But yeah, I mean, obviously, I've been thinking a lot about labor too, and just because we're, I'm gonna try for like a more natural approach. Like, we're obviously still gonna be in a hospital, but we have a doula, which is gonna be great, and I don't want to get an epidural, and there are so many women who I talk to who have had kids, and I'm like, yeah, I'm planning on not getting an epidural. And their reaction is, get the epidural. And it's like, I get it, because they've done it before, and it's like, when I hear things like that, it makes me feel naive for wanting to try to do it without
Mhm.
medication, but it's been done before. There are still women today who do it,
Mhm.
and it's not like I'm even doing it like a lot of women are like, "Oh, you don't get a medal for it." It's like I'm not doing it for the medal.
Yeah.
Knowledge is power, which is
Mhm.
one thing that I've been discovering, and just like knowing what to expect, and there are side effects, and there's just I'm very interested in people as the animal that they are,
Mhm.
and it's like I just want to feel it. I want to know what it feels like to give birth.
Mhm.
And if I have the epidural, I'm not going to get to feel that,
Mhm.
so it's
I'm not
just
gonna feel it
I'm going to
100%.
rob
Yeah.
myself of like a very very natural
Yeah.
experience. Even though it's going to hurt, I want
Again,
to feel it.
it's one of those things where it's like I feel like you need to just do whatever you think you need to do. And even if other people are, who've done it before roll their eyes, it's like, hey, you know what? This is still my life,
Yeah.
and this is your life, This
Yeah.
is your experience. This is your pregnancy, no one else's. And uh it's just like, when people who have experience, tell you things, and it's like it's great, but at the same time I still need to experience it myself.
Right.
It's like you can tell someone about something all day long, but until they've experienced it themselves, they don't know.
Right.
And
Yeah.
but it's not the person who hasn't experienced it. It's not their fault. They just haven't done it yet.
Right. Yeah.
And they should be allowed to experience it in their own way.
Or
In
at
their
least to
own way. At
try,
least to try,
you know?
and yeah, and like not to discourage other people, like but again, I'm a man talking about giving birth.
Well,
it's
you could still have an
For
outward
me, I'm just
opinion. It's
defensive.
not
I'm
and
defensive of you.
yeah.
I want you to do what you want to do, and I don't want you to be like influenced or like discouraged, I guess
Yeah.
is the better word, like discouraged by anybody else. It's like, advice is one thing, um, but discouragement I'm not a big fan of
Yeah.
that. So,
Well, I've appreciated you a lot throughout this process. I've been reading a lot of the natural books, and you've never been like, "Oh," like I'll show
mhm.
you the diagrams of like the uterus and all the different layers, and
Fascinating, by
I
the
know.
way.
Actually, I kind of want to just like really quickly talk about that, because I feel like I was so afraid of labor, because it's like, oh my God, you hear that it's painful. Nobody ever talks about like why it's painful, which is why I feel like knowledge really is power, because when you understand why your body is going through the pain that it's going through, it becomes less scary, and when you're not as scared, you're not clenching, and it's not as painful, so it's like that process. But even just seeing the one diagram in the book that I was reading, where it's like it shows a picture, it's like 3 different pictures, and there's 3 different layers in the uterus, and the outer layer is like all the fibers are kind of going down, and then there's like the second middle layer is just kind of like whatever, I guess there's like veins and stuff, and then the inner layer is like this way,
Like a spiral
like like
almost, like a
like not like connected, but just
mhm,
like rings, multiple
mhm,
rings that are especially like at the bottom, like is like where all the rings are, which is where like your cervix is. So during contractions, the outer layer is like is pulling up those rings so that your cervix opens.
mhm.
And that's where the pain comes from. So it's like just understanding when you have that pain,
Like what's
what is
happening.
actually happening
Yeah.
inside of
Not
you.
just like, it feels like I'm being
Yeah,
stabbed.
or like
Yeah.
he's exploding me.
Yeah.
Like you have to know
Yeah.
what's going on to not really be afraid of it. It really is a
Yeah.
very natural process, and I know it's going to be painful,
Mhm.
but whatever.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
I'm
man.
actually at this point I'm really looking forward to it. I had a lot of like anxiety at the very beginning when I found out, and I first started reading all those books, and I mean, remember I was reading them
Yeah.
constantly. It was like all I was doing, it's all I was thinking about. And then I think after like 20 to 25 weeks, I was like, I
More
had learned a
relaxed.
lot. I felt a lot better. And now I just like live my life, which is really nice,
Yeah.
And at this point, I'm just like, walking every day and still reading once in a while. But I
Mhm.
feel like for the most part, I'm very mentally prepared. And now I'm just kind of focusing on like maybe being a little bit more physically prepared.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. For sure.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's just like it is very fascinating. And with our doula, uh how many she's given birth 6
6
times?
times, because she has 4 kids and she was a
2
surrogate
are
twice.
surrogates, yeah.
Yeah. So she's very experienced.
Yeah, so 2 were surrogates, and was she induced?
I don't think so.
Not even once?
She has had an epidural a couple times. I think
I mean, I'm sorry. You know what? I was actually in my head. I was thinking epidural.
epidural. Yeah, her
Yeah.
first couple I think were an epidural, and I think that's why because I don't think we really got to go into detail with her about it when we talked to her on the phone, but after going through birth in a hospital, getting an epidural, having like a very high intervention birth, that's why she was like, I hate this, and she ended up giving birth in a bathtub in her house. Which is obviously the completely opposite end of the spectrum, which I've obviously, like, it occurred to me to do it. One, we live in my parents' basement. I'm not going to give birth in the bathtub while my dad's upstairs. Like, what the hell's going on down there?
He's
like,
upstairs taking a shit.
Yeah, right. Why is she screaming? And also, it's like my first baby, our first baby. Sorry, I didn't mean to make it about me.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, sorry, I keep looking back because I'm looking at those pregnancy books and I'm thinking about everything that I learned.
It's all good. Yeah.
But yeah, I just want to be in a hospital because it's like you never know what's going to happen. And I still respect the medical field. It's not like,
Yeah. Yeah, of
So,
course. It's
I
like,
just want like a hybrid. It's like I want the safety of the hospital, but I want like
the freedom,
the nurturing and the freedom, and like I want to birth in multiple positions.
You don't
I
wanna
want to
be
be able to
strapped.
stand.
Yeah, you don't want to be strapped to a table.
Yeah, I don't want my legs to be up in stirrups. Like I'm not having freaking surgery.
Yeah.
This isn't a pap smear. I'm
Yeah.
giving birth. Like
Yeah.
I don't want to feel like a patient. I want to feel like a mom.
Yeah.
So yeah. So I want a hybrid solution.
Yeah. Hybrid. I think that is the answer to everything these days.
Hybrid.
Hybrid. It's like just a mixture of things. Like even mentalities and political opinions. Like hybrid. Like
Hybrid.
it doesn't have to be all one way or all another way.
Yeah,
it
there's
can
a
be,
gray area with everything.
Exactly. It can be both. You know, it can be a little bit of yeah and a little bit of nah.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree with you 100%.
I think most people are like that too. I think most people are like that.
Yeah.
I truly believe most people are like that.
Yeah, that they can kind of see both sides.
Yeah.
And they, feel things from both groups. And,
Yeah.
But
not to get too political,
no,
but
yeah.
it's more just
But
like
speaking
you
very
were talking
general.
about hybrid birth, and that's kind of like how I feel about just like life in general.
Yeah.
Like hybrid, like.
So you want to get a hybrid vehicle?
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, you don't have to go straight electric. It's like, but hey, maybe that would help a little bit. If it helps just even a little bit, maybe that's a good thing, you know? But hybrid vehicles are also very expensive. So.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Yeah.
Where are we at time-wise? Can you see? Oh, mine died.
Aw. I
don't know why that keeps happening with mine.
Did it die? Hit the button again. Oh, well, there you go.
I don't know.
I wonder how long ago it turned off.
I know. You got to keep an eye on that, by the way, just to make sure that, like I'm looking at that one.
Yeah.
And I can see it's still recording, and I'm looking at that over there. So the fact that this one has died twice and you haven't noticed.
It's my fault.
I'm going to blame you.
Well, that's your phone.
I don't care.
And
you have a newer phone than me.
Do I?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, because I dropped it.
Yeah, because you dropped it on a roller coaster.
Well, I didn't drop it. It just kind of flew
slipped out.
Yeah.
Yeah, it slipped out of your hoodie pocket.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, so yeah, just keep an eye on that. And I don't know, maybe there's something on this, like it'll only, because it turned off around the same time last time. I think it was like about...
Really? Was it yours? Oh, yeah, but it just turned off again.
What in the world? All right. Well, maybe we'll just end it here.
I was gonna say we don't have to go to an hour.
No. And these are just very like, it's still an experiment.
Yeah.
And it's still like we're just working out the kinks. Again, we're trying to make the sound better and the lighting better. So it's just a more entertaining process. We have our new prop here, which I think helps. But she did this by choice because it's thundering outside.
Yeah, she did. And actually she did really well. I thought she was gonna be like freaking out more and crying and running around, but she was all right. Yeah. So, but anyway, so that was fun, and yeah, we'll think of a topic for next time. Yeah. We lied to you guys last time we were going to talk about the life of an artist. Yeah.
And the mindset of an artist and everything. And we didn't do that this time.
Well, I think it's nice to like start with that, and then we talked about like what we're kind of going through. Like we're
Mhm.
going to be new parents, and then we can talk about eventually, whenever we want to,
Yeah.
the life of an
Yeah, we're
artist.
gonna have
But
some guest
yeah,
appearances. We want to do stories from her parents. They're both from Long Island. Right, they're from Long
from
Island.
Long Island, yeah, and then
Yeah,
the whole Staten Island stories
yeah,
thing
Staten
comes
Island
from
and
my
like,
dad. He went to college on Staten Island, which is
hmm
how he got involved in like the bar business.
yeah,
So
owned a bar and all kinds of wild stories. I mean, me just like living here and knowing him for, this amount of time is like, I hear so many stories. So
yeah,
so we're gonna have them as guests eventually, and like friends as guests, and
yeah,
like all kinds of people. So it's fun for us, and we're gonna keep doing it. So whether or not you keep watching it doesn't
yeah.
really
We're
matter.
doing it for
We're
us.
doing it for us. So
Cool.
anyway, thanks for joining us on the
On JK Coffee Couch.
JK Coffee Couch.
Before it was a working title, but I think that's what it is
It's
now.
just gonna be
I mean,
that.
that's what the logo
I
is.
mean, we
So
made a logo.
yeah, we
So
have to add Scooty Bum to this one.
mm-hmm.
All right. Well, cheers.
Cheers.
Love you, babe.
Love you too. Love you all.
Oh, I waved at the wrong one.
All right.